waxing gibbous phase. They set the theme of how you're going along. So this is the final stage of the waxing moon. It begins at the gibbous or three-quarter moon and lasts until the exact moment of the full moon. Moonlight increases here and reaches up to maximum brightness. This covers the 3.5 days, years, leading up to the progressed full moon. It represents the time of greatest independence and individual expression. Creativity is highlighted. Okay, so under this phase, you'll be independent and very active. You'll need to feel free to follow your impulses and to see just how far things can go. Okay, so this is challenging the transits. The transits are saying, here's these restraints, these difficulties, these pressures, these things, and these changes are all going on. What's next? So I think some of this is planning in advance around retirement, might be. You have a strong sense of who you are and how you are so different from those who are around you. You're very sensitive to extremes, but are inclined to avoid rigid commitments and obligations. You will see many responsibilities in your life, but you will try to avoid them wherever possible. You have a sense of not being able to live up to family expectations. Often, the past will surface and try to block the future. It should not succeed in holding you back. This is a big thing. This is his moon. So if the family or the wife is wanting to live a certain way, wanting to go a certain way, and it's not what he wants to do, this is going to cause the pressure. You will usually attempt to get a little more personal freedom in spite of any obstacles that surface or cross your path. It's saying you are, but it's really, in saying you are, this is really relating to this time. You know, this, you're being inside yourself, you're being this at this, in this 2.5-year phase. In many ways, a manipulator, for better or worse. You'll constantly adjust your priorities and you'll attempt to be very different than you were in the past. You are capable of avoiding commitments. Mars, it just, you see it in that, as you're seeing this, you see this, other things in this chart reinforce this. You'll often feel that there's little you can do to help others. You can perceive just how much to adjust your social involvements to make things go the way you want. You do have very astute perceptions about people, and you will learn much in your lifetime. In this phase, you will try to disseminate as much information as you can. So this idea of disseminating as much information, he knows a lot. No one in the family is necessarily going along with or listening to him, but he knows he has to get these things out. So I think he's got a book to put together. He's got things he's really gone over. He's just really topped up his astrology, brought it back in. He's got something to write about what he knows. You need to express your feelings creatively. You can shed light and happiness on those around you. Do not hold back. You need to see what there is to see and to do what there is to do. You need to live your own life, but you'll always be trying to find out which choices are your best. The choices, that's his Venus in the natal, in the triggers off the Venus in his 12th house opposing his moon. This moon phase is walking right in, it's really accentuating the struggles he has within his own natal chart. You're not a person who can or should go back home for support. The past sits as contrast to the present. You know where you're coming from. You do not want to go back, but you're not certain just how far ahead you can reach. It's important to find out. Set up your own world and family as distinctly as you can. You can usually get your own way by adapting and adjusting as the opportunities arise. It's unlikely that your present situation will be anything like the past. Neither will it be like the future. Do not look back. Strive to be unique. You must choose your own lifestyle and family status and size. Your life should be interesting and filled with with people who want to hear what you have to say. Not many people will be able to keep up with you. So what? Okay, so like with the Pluto coming up to square the Sun, you get the idea, what, damned if you do, damned if you don't, but here you are, it's your turn, you better do it. Here you are putting that pressure on, okay, I've got to do this. So he's got to put this together, even though there's disruptions and things that are not everybody's going to be agreeing with him or supporting him. So the moon phase just sets a nice theme for coming into progression, takes the sun and moon in order and they're working together. And yeah, so that's a useful thing. And that can be done pretty much even if you haven't got an accurate time. The progressed moon phase will still be, you can still tap into that. Okay, well, here we see the progressed sun and then the progressed moon going around for 3 cycles over 90 years. And His first new moon was in 79. He's just young. I was born in 61, 79, so they got 18. I was just at the same time Saturn was changing an angle, and he was having changed. Okay, let me just wait for this. Let me just do something else here. Let me just let's just pull up a Saturn and have it beside us so we have the two timings here. We'll just alternate between that and the natal chart. Okay, but it's Saturn 1979. Where was Saturn 79? Yes, Saturn starts 74, 76. Okay, no, Saturn was in his 11th house. 79 was just going into his 12th house, and that was the new moon. It was conjunct to Mars, the sun going along. That was empowering what he's doing, where he's going. But then when the full moon would have come in 93, and by 93, Saturn's moving. It's in the 5th house. So then but this whole time Saturn going down through the 3rd house. That's the studying, learning, developing common sense, but it's really supposed to be your mystical studies taking you down to your IC, to your spiritual depth. Most profound, deepest point in the chart. So as he's going along this path, 2005 was the new moon, 2008, and it hits, his progressive sun is going to hit the IC in 2022, just after Uranus finishes opposing his Mars. The sun's down at the deepest point. It's not the Mars that's going to be so important as what motivates him, what he's going to do next. Okay, and I think it's a lot to do with his spiritual soul, his understanding, his teaching, and being motivated to actually express where he's coming from, what he knows to be true. Okay, now, okay, just move this out of the way for a bit. Again, we'll come back along. We want to take a look at the Mercury to see how Mercury, Venus, and Mars are going direct or forward. And here's his Mercury, conjunct the Sun. It starts with Mercury retrograde. So it starts retrograde, and his Mercury goes back before its position. Then retrograde comes back. So he's born into life, but his mind is going back into the last lifetime. While he's being here, he's not really connecting directly. It's like you had to go back and figure something out or get something, have some knowledge or something you had to be thinking of, something you had to go back over. And whether it's thinking with relationships, parents, whatever, and it went through that whole loop. So we'll look at this more closely for time. But after it gets past that, then his Mercury would go forward and direct for the rest of his life and will come down to the IC. And it's the buildup of things around the IC that's so profound. It's like your spiritual lessons or special deep truths coming on. So everything's heading that way in his life. It's all going down to deeper things, not the more status things, but he's working really hard to maintain the status and to keep things going. But really, his heart is moving deeper and deeper and less enchanted at outer things. So this Mars Neptune could take on the bravado of the world, but could also become the aloof celibate saint who wants to be dedicated and wants to be living a simple life. But his Mercury went retrograde in 71, 10 years old, it went retrograde. It went direct. So it was going retrograde when he was born. It went back into before his lifetime things. It goes direct in 71. It doesn't come back to its own place till 81. So 10 years going back, 10 years coming forward. 81, he's 20. And Mercury conjuncts his Mercury. It's come over his sun, gave him some confidence, and he's rethinking things. So the way he was brought up the first 10 years, he's thinking it has to be different. He's got to be thinking a different take. By the time 81 came along, it conjuncts his Mercury. It's just the gong goes off of thinking for himself. And then it starts moving forward and being connected to the world around us. So it's like there's a 10-year delay here of him waking up to be himself, but he had this inner work to do in that first 20 years. However, that played out. And then it moves forward. Then I don't have the dates for this. It would hit Neptune, the Mars, go down, hit the Pluto, hit the Uranus, hit the Pluto, and eventually come down to the IC, which it hits the IC in 2026. So that's 5 years, 6 years. Okay, which is, it comes up. So that's still in the scale of the sun coming down there, the Venus coming down. They're all conjunct. We saw them all conjunct in Sun, Mercury, and Mars, all, and Venus are all in Sag and moving in the third house, moving towards the IC. What's the study for? What are you learning for? So you can understand the depth, so you can understand the teachings. So we look at the Venus. His Venus starts in the 12th house, but goes straight forward his whole life, doesn't go retrograde. Boom, 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 straight forward. We dealt with all this in the Progress class, but I'm just, once you have these, we have these to go back over. It's so useful. You're not having to search through the ephemeris or search through things to get it. You got it off the ephemeris, you got it off the computer printouts of so much information, and you organize, you get the overview, you get this overview together. Once you get that together, then you can go fine tune it and go into the charts to work in more detail, but you don't want to lose your time perspective on it. You're trying to develop this correct outer and inner time perspective, seeing the transits, seeing the progressions. The transits are down below. It's coming to Saturn return fourth. It's just gone over. The sun's coming up to it. Saturn just went over. They're all kind of aligned in this story. So his progress Venus conjuncted his sun in 1980 and his Mercury in 81, just as his Mercury came back to that same point as well. So 81, big turning point. Then by 90, his Venus conjuncted the Neptune. That's the visions and the dreams. Maybe that's the changing countries or seeing what's happening. The Venus conjuncted the Mars in 93. These are all conjunctions. That's generally fairly positive affirmation of things. Then it squared Uranus in 2005, the Venus, progressed Venus. This is inner, not outer, but it's still a big shock to one's values. And then it squared the Pluto in 2013. So that challenges his self-worth and what he's learning and what he's not learning. It's working on liking to study, and these are things coming up, disrupting it or challenging it as it hits these aspects for a year or two. Then it's past that now. It's not till 2029 that it moves into Capricorn. And it doesn't get to the IC till 2037. So that's a lot longer going in there. So it's staying in the third house of studying, learning during this whole period. So retirement for him is not a retirement. It's the opportunity to study, to get deep, to get into personal deep things, not just play roles out in the world. And I think as his pensions come in, it opens up some the ability to change these things and to build. But how much consciously do you go towards it or not? Okay, so I want to look at the Mars. And here again, Mars just straight, no retrograde, and it too, it's going down across, like going to the IC. They're all following the same pattern, going down here to the IC. What are you motivated for? Where are you coming from? How do you integrate yourself? They're all going down to your personal depth, not your outer status. Here's the outer world. Here's how I understand why these things happen. So in a worldly way, it's getting less and less attached to career. In a personal way, if you see him as a spiritual person studying and learning, he's going deeper and deeper and having breakthroughs through this.